Hey guys, Laura Beth here with a special message that I wanted to kick off this week's episode with. I don't normally bogart the microphone like this, but y'all, my sister / co-host is having a very big birthday this Saturday, June 6th. And while she doesn't want to talk about her age, I do think it needs celebrating. I mean, raise your hand if you've had a birthday during the worldwide pandemic that we are currently living through. I hope you felt celebrated, even if it was different than you expected or hoped. I certainly hope it was acknowledged if it was a big birthday, like 16, 18, 21, 30, 40, 50, 60. Why am I going on like this? Y'all know what a significant birthday is. Anyway, I have a really special bond with my sister, and one that I hope comes out every week on this show. We have gone through some hard stuff together, and we will continue to face hard things. Y'all, she's doing this show each week with her foot propped up in a cast. She's a true steel magnolia in every sense of that phrase. Last week, we were on her back deck, and we somehow got on the subject of an old memory, and I got to laughing so hard that I felt my whole spirit shift to a better place just from laughing, but laughing hard, like from my belly. I really hope that you have someone in your life that makes you laugh like that, and if you don't, let's believe that someone is coming into your life soon. I love my sister dearly, and just wanted to share a moment with y'all to say, happy birthday, Lainey. May this truly be your best year yet. I'll leave y'all with this. Sometimes when we're testing our microphones before recording an episode, we get really silly. And on a rare occasion a couple of weeks ago, we actually broke out into a song that represents us so well.
Oh, we ain't got a barrel of money. Maybe we're ragged and funny, but we travel along, singing our song, side by side. Come on in. I'm Lainey.
And I'm Laura Beth. And we are Steel Magnolias. Two sisters who love family, traditions, and all things Southern.
We've got plenty of room at our table, so pull up a chair.
Hello, Lainey.
Hi, Laura Beth.
What a peaceful day we have today. We're recording in the morning this time.
Which is a little different for us. And it's Pentecost Sunday.
It's so wonderful outside. I hope y'all all had some good weather you got to experience this weekend and this week. And it is June.
I can hardly
what the heck
believe it.
This is so weird. And we have a big birthday we're celebrating with Lainey this week. I won't name numbers, but it's a milestone one. So if y'all get a chance, send her some love on the social medias out there.
Thanks.
She's laid up still from surgery, so we'll have a small family dinner and then celebrate with friends and other acquaintances and loved ones
at a
probably
later
down
date.
The road. Yeah, so, and I have a little something I meant to mention last week in that there's an update on what Peyton Manning is up to these days.
Oh, right?
So
I didn't know we were going to go here.
Well,
this is fun.
I wanted to.
I love it.
Of course, he's known for many things, but I know him as our quarterback for the Tennessee Vols.
That's right.
But he had an NFL career, if you don't know him, and he
quite an NFL career.
Yeah, he has charity work. He's got like a Indianapolis Children's Hospital.
Yeah, I think he's an all-around good guy.
Yeah.
And hysterical, by the way.
Those nationwide commercials.
And his stints on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, that's right.
Anything he does, I just think he seems like he would be such a fun friend.
Well, now he's making his mark in a new industry that's very
Southern.
down home and Southern, and that would be whiskey. So he and some friends, they started a company to sell a 13-year aged cask strength bourbon.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I think he lives near Chattanooga.
Yes, that's what I've heard.
And there is a golf course there called Sweetens Cove Golf Club, and that's where he got the inspiration. He was inspired to create the whiskey company because they say that first-timers at this golf course usually take a celebratory shot of whiskey on their first tee. So there's already tradition tied to this golf course, and he and his buddies, I'm sure, along with how many guys in the South go, we should do our own bourbon.
Right. How many times has that been said amongst friends? It's been said amongst me and my friends before.
Yeah. So luckily, he has obviously some clout, and he was able to connect.
Actually make it happen, unlike...
He was able to connect with Marianne Eves, who's the master blender of this company now. They kind of recruited her. She's Kentucky's first female bourbon distiller since Prohibition.
I have heard her on a podcast or two before.
She's young.
Yeah.
Like really young.
It's kind of amazing.
Maybe 30?
I don't know. I don't know. Probably maybe older than that.
She's young.
30 seems so young to me now.
So here's the fun part, though. So the pre-sale started last Tuesday, a week ago.
I didn't realize it had already started.
And it was only open to Tennessee
Tennesseans.
residents.
I thought that was going to be cool.
Sold out.
Of course.
All 500 bottles at $200 a pop.
Yowza.
Gone. I think like in a day, probably. Based on when I saw their Instagram post that they were sold out. It had been like maybe 24 hours.
Okay, if any of our listeners got one, I want to know.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
For sure, tell us. Yeah, because I think they're shipping
we won't
out.
put your name out that you have one of them, but I do want to know.
Yeah. So I think they're shipping this week. So if you did get one, you're getting it soon.
Wow.
But they're going to try and create more because obviously the demand is there. They were going to open it up to Georgia residents and then go a little wider from there, but that didn't even get to happen. So obviously us Tennesseans can put some money down for a bottle of bourbon.
That is fun.
We are talking about something very relevant to Southern culture today, and that is our ecosystem and plant life. We're talking about Spanish moss and kudzu today. So,
two things you may see in the trees of the South.
Yes. So we just felt like this was super important to talk about because it may not have the sexiness of throwing a party, but it's in our backyards, it's in our front yards, it's along our highways.
Oh my goodness, is it?
It's on Instagram in picturesque settings. I mean, both of these.
I would say even if we've said the names, kudzu and Spanish moss, and you're like, what is that? You're going to know once we start describing it, you're going to have seen it.
For sure.
I would think for sure you've seen it in photographs or as you've driven along the interstate.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start with like
the uglier of the
bad news first, which is kudzu. Okay.
They call it the vine that ate south.
I saw that
Isn't
too.
that hilarious? Because it practically does eat up everything in its path.
It is. And I have a map that I'll post this on our Instagram this week. Can you see the green section on this map? That's where kudzu is like invading. It's only the South. There is one tiny little pocket up in the northwest corner of Oregon.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about why it's eating up the South and if it's elsewhere, why it's not. And that's like, it's the humidity, the heat, it's like just blows up. Yeah. Versus, well, first of all, I'll backtrack. Okay. It's native to China and Japan.
Yes. It came from there.
I've learned in doing research for this, they have certain bugs and things that keep it like under control.
At bay,
It doesn't eat the roots, but it eats the leaves.
Yes.
So it keeps it at bay. Mm-hmm. We don't have those bugs.
Mm-hmm. That's a problem.
It was actually brought here intentionally to help with erosion.
Yes.
So farmers were even paid to plant it.
Yeah.
To help keep from there being a lot of
We're
erosion.
talking 1870s. 1876, I think.
Late 1800s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And funny enough, it came to Pennsylvania is where they started it.
Okay.
To deal with
so it never got out of control there?
I don't know.
I guess not.
I don't think that they... Well, yes, the short answer is yes, it didn't get out of control there. And I don't think they planted as much there. Because they brought it... Sorry if I'm jumping ahead.
Run with it.
It was marketed in the South as this ornamental species.
Yeah.
So us Southerners jumped on
We're
that.
like, ornamental?
let's get some decoration in the yard. Yeah. So it was marketed in the Southeast to provide shade to homes and as an ornamental species. So we jumped on it. We started planting it.
This stuff can grow a foot a day.
That's crazy.
Like 60 feet in one season.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It's so wild. That's why it gets so out of control. So if you've ever been driving down the interstate and you see this viney looking thing that's completely taken over trees.
Yes.
So they have like a form underneath.
Yeah. Telephone poles. Like it doesn't need other life really. It just goes.
Yeah. And it will just climb and submerge.
Yes.
Things to which then those trees often are dying underneath.
Right.
They're not getting
They're
what
suffocating because the kudzu's getting all of the nutrients. Yeah. Well, there are some funny pictures that I also want to put up that you sent me of figures that actually look like things.
They do.
Because of the whole invasion that kudzu can, cover something. So I think you sent me
I sent 3 that all look like men.
Like men.
Yeah. So
oh
it was just funny to me as I was looking at all of this. But this this vine has touched so many aspects of culture.
Yeah.
Because it's been around for so long and completely taken over areas.
Yeah.
So I even wanted to talk about just some of the funny things I've seen. First of all, a couple of cookbooks.
Yeah.
Recent cookbooks. I found one by Carol Marsh, 2015, and another one that was from 2018. I don't remember the author of the second one, that was called The Book of Kudzu. But that one was A Culinary and Healing Guide, the World's Finest Cooking Starch.
Wow.
So this says that people of East Asia know well that kudzu is a blessing and that it has tons of healing properties and is more versatile than ginseng.
Wow.
So it says time-tested medicinal teas and special ailments. So some people see kudzu as a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying,
Well, humans can eat it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not supposed to eat the vines.
It's like the little flowers.
Pretty much everything else is edible. And I found an article in the AJC, Atlanta's newspaper, with some really good recipes that were all kudzu.
That is so cute.
So I'll link to that because they had kudzu ginger lemonade, kudzu quiche, kudzu chicken.
No way.
Corny kudzu soup, kudzu broccoli casserole, seafood kudzu casserole.
This is cracking me up.
They even had a kudzu cocktail, which just had vodka, any kind of melon liqueur, club soda, and then you mix all that together and you submerge it into crushed kudzu.
I wonder what the taste of kudzu is. I don't know. But I thought that was really funny that, what some people see as a curse, others see as a blessing. Yeah. It depends on the circumstance, I suppose.
Yeah.
I found a company in North Carolina called Fonta Flora Brewery.
Okay.
They have a beer that they brew with the kudzu flowers called Kudzilla.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That cute?
I love it. Yeah, so again, wonder how that flavor is.
Yeah.
We haven't
don't
done
know
enough
what
kudzu tastings in our life.
To the beer. I found a couple of different plays that have been done.
Okay.
That had kudzu in the name. The one that looked the cutest to me was called Kudzu the Musical.
Okay.
And it's centered around a fictional radio station, WKDZ. And it just was so cute. It was very, just small town Southern storylines going on.
Yes.
Kind of a mystery. And
it sounds like a Fanny Flagg novel or something.
Things like that. There was a comic strip that I came across.
Oh.
That was called Kudzu. It ran from 1981 to 2007.
What?
Only reason it stopped, the author, Doug Marlette from North Carolina, he died in a car accident. So that caused it to...
That's why it ended?
Yeah.
Oh, it would have kept going.
But at its peak, it was in 300 newspapers.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, it looked kind of cute too. It was very Southern storyline. But yeah, this is something that's touched lots of different aspects of our culture, not just the literal being a plant, but kind of bleeds into many things. And I even found a poem by James Dickey that's called Kudzu. Oh, it's quite long.
Okay,
so
maybe I can just share it on our
want to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm happy to read a little portion if you want me to. I just thought it was kind of funny. It starts like this. Japan invades far eastern vines. Run from the clay banks they are supposed to keep from eroding. Up telephone poles, which rear half out of leafage, as though they would shriek like things smothered by their own green, mindless, unkillable ghost.
Ooh. Wow.
So it goes on to tell this whole story of like cows and pigs and stuff like, you know, never coming out again.
Oh my
and
gosh.
It's funny, but.
Well, speaking of wildlife, there is somebody in the system of our earth that can help, and that is the goat.
Yes.
So the goat will actually eat
anything.
A lot. It's true.
Tin cans.
If you have access to goats and you have kudzu, you really can let them loose and have them eat it for you. You can even, have you heard of rent a goat?
No.
Yeah, there's a thing
that
called
is
rent a goat where you get like a goat herd. So this would be like if you've got like a massive kudzu problem. Otherwise, I think most people just start with mowing, trying to mow it. But yeah, I mean, if it's like up,
you got to get
things,
the taproot, I'm sure, to get it.
Yeah,
totally gone.
Yeah, but yeah, and sheep, goats and sheep, would be your friend in the scenario if you've got
rent a goat.
Rent a goat.
I have never
rent a herd, rent a goat.
Wow,
you can do it all these days. Yeah, so we luckily aren't plagued by this in our own yards.
No, if you drive from here to Atlanta, though, you'll see a good bit of it on the interstate, or, well, many interstates. But I know Georgia and many states of the South do have areas where it's completely out of control.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean,
they thought it was a good thing, but there again, that's interesting because when something is in its natural habitat, God's got a plan for how it's going to stay under control. When you move something to a different place, nothing promised on all that.
Preach, sister. So let's talk about the prettier. I found this quote. It said, prettier than kudzu, less formal than a palm tree, Spanish moss, a symbol of nature at its most relaxed.
Yes, that's perfect wording.
I mean,
who wrote that? I love that.
No, I should give credit to more people. So,
well, it's kind of funny in that it's not a moss and it's not Spanish.
I know. What the heck? I actually have that in my notes. What the heck? Spanish moss. Yeah. So, just again for context, if you haven't seen or have imagery for this,
what
we're talking about, if you've seen Forrest Gump. And you remember Forrest Gump's house. So that was, I know it's been since the 90s that Forrest Gump came out. But a lot of people have seen that film. Jenny and Forrest, the two main characters, they spend a lot of time in and around this house. And there's a lot of Spanish moss. It's actually a Charleston estate called Plum Hill.
Okay.
I didn't know that. That they shot that part
Well,
of
there's
the
a lot of it
on.
around there, so.
Yeah, so if you have... if you can recall the way that movie looked. But yeah, Spanish moss, not a moss at all, and isn't from Spain.
I know. I just think this is so funny. Well, it's mostly found in the lowlands, swamps, and savannas of the southeastern United States, from southeastern Virginia to Florida and west to Texas and southern Arkansas.
Yes.
Kind of the main area you're going to see it.
So... I saw that it was given its name by French explorers. I don't know if you saw this too. And Native Americans told them that the plant was called, and I'm not going to try and pronounce it.
Yes. And it was
So that name translates to tree hair.
Okay.
That's what the Native Americans were calling it already. And then the French were reminded of the Spanish conquistadors' long beards. So they called it Spanish beard. Okay. That's what the French people started calling it. And then the Spaniards got back at them by calling it French hair. And the French name won out as time went by. Spanish beard changed to Spanish moss.
And I've heard it called grandpa's beard.
Okay.
So I guess just different people have different
yeah.
ways of...
And then the Beaufort Library in South Carolina has its own tall tale.
Okay.
Gorez goes...
Yes, I've heard this.
You had heard this?
I had a postcard that had this little storyline on it.
Okay. So he was a bearded brute who bought a beautiful Indian maiden for a yard of braid and a mere bar of soap. The mere sight of the Spaniard so frightened the girl that she ran away from him. Gorez chased right up behind her until the last he climbed up after her to the top of a tree. The maiden dove into the water and escaped, but Gorez's beard got hopelessly entangled in the tree's branches. There he died, but we can still see his gray beard on trees throughout the Low Country as the Spanish moss out on the limbs.
All right.
Well, I don't know.
It does kind of look like hair.
A hairy,
hanging.
kind of wiry looking beard. Yeah.
So funny. There's always a tall tale to go with something if it's in the South.
That's true. So it doesn't, it grows on trees, but it doesn't put down roots.
Or pull
tree.
From the tree. It's not pulling nutrient from the tree. It pulls it from the air.
Yeah. I read that it thrives on rain and fog. So.
And I even think it's interesting that when it's like it kind of can hold water for the more drier days. And when it's full of water, it looks more green.
Yes.
And when it's, not holding water, it looks more gray.
Gray. That's
I think
so
of it
true.
only as gray, but...
I do too. Especially because it's usually on a tree.
Yeah.
That's green.
Yes. So it's going to look more
less green,
true.
I guess, if you will.
It loves southern oaks and bald cypress. That's two of the trees it's most favors.
Yeah.
It's a flowering plant also.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, just...
Well...
It's used for lots of different things. Did you see that?
No.
It's pretty fascinating to me.
What else is it used for?
It's been used for building insulation.
What?
Mulch,
no, I did not know this.
Packing material. Mattress stuffing. Kind of cool. In the 1900s, it was used as padding of car seats.
Oh my gosh. That's weird.
It's, small quantities are used in arts and crafts, which is funny because I've actually bought it in a bag before with little things like on wreaths and things like that.
Yeah.
What else did I see? Occasionally, well, this is probably in older times, but it's been used for privacy. Like people will put it in a chain link fence to kind of make it have more of a private look. American colonists mixed Spanish moss with mud to make mortar for their houses, some of which are still standing strong.
Wow.
It's good tinder for fires. I can totally see that, because especially if it's dried out. People have made it into rope. I mean, goodness.
Wow.
All kinds of things.
Wow. There is a trail in Beaufort County, and this is South Carolina, that's a Spanish moss trail.
Oh,
it's a recreational trail. It's about 14 miles.
Let's
go. Yeah, and it's been in operation since like railroad days. They set this trail aside. So there's all sorts of conservation efforts to keep it alive and open to the public. But
well, that one does not make good livestock feed. It's not any nutrition at all in that one, unlike the kudzu.
True.
So the kudzu might be uglier, but at least it has some nutritional value.
Yeah.
The Spanish moss is prettier, but
of no
only
value.
good for mulching or only those kinds of things.
Well, and it spreads, the Spanish moss spreads because it has these like feathery appendages that like a dandelion seed. It just kind of allows the appendages to just kind of float.
Okay.
Because they're not part of the tree. Like we said, they're not putting roots down.
Right.
So it allows this to float through the air until they land on another tree. So
and that's how it
kind of how the
spreads.
spreading happens. Yeah.
I also read that it was used a lot in bird's nest, which I can 100% see.
For
it practically
sure.
looks like it already is.
Yeah.
Just grab some of that. You could build one pretty quickly.
Yeah. Isn't it so romantic, though?
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, when I think of Savannah, I actually do think... I went to visit Savannah.com because I wanted to see, is this like their front page of their... Which they have a different sort of tree, but...
There's a famous shot of Savannah that is this long road with many oaks kind of arching.
Yes.
And that are covered in Spanish moss.
Yes.
And, I mean, if that's not, just the backdrop for a engagement photo or something,
sure.
I don't know what is.
For sure. Well, I've mentioned on here before my friend Lindsay that lives in Charleston and is a gardener and does a lot of the downtown estates and those glorious window boxes. And I was asking her about Spanish moss, and I loved her quote. She said, "I love Spanish moss. It's the veil of mystery that steeps the South in romance."
So good.
I was like, you need to write that down.
Seriously, where's her blog?
Put it on a tea towel or something.
Exactly.
But it's romantic. It's mysterious. It's probably the backdrop of tons of movies that I didn't even think
Midnight
to look up.
in the Garden of Good and Evil.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just beautiful. So yeah, we don't have those trees around here, but when I think of South Carolina, I definitely think of Spanish moss and those
I do too.
long corridors of
oak trees,
veiled
moss.
moss.
Looking at pictures of Spanish moss as well as social media right now, it's making me long to be at the beach.
I know. There's actually a couple of good Instagram accounts that I did find. Let me see if I've got them in my notes here. My notes are all out of order. One was Spanish moss photography.
Oh,
it's just a beautiful account. So,
and did it have a lot of pictures that included that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. So, just something that would be worth talking about, we thought, and definitely something that if you travel to Charleston, you'll see a lot of. So, anyway.
That's all I have on that. But
that's all I know about that. Well, happy early birthday, sis.
Thank you.
We're excited to see what this next year holds for you, and we just are blessed by you being here.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to a year. Once I get my foot healed up, I'm going to be ready to kick up my heels and enjoy the year.
That's right. Go to all these places and do all these things
that I'm sitting up.
Taste all these foods we've been talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I probably won't make you a kudzu cocktail for your birthday, but I'll get you something else.
I would drink it.
You did.
Cheers.
Not opposed to.
Do you remember the Kudzu Cafe that was in Atlanta? I'm not sure if it's still. It was up and running for a long time. I bet it's still open, but that was.
Did you go there?
I did go there. I never ate anything that had kudzu in it. In fact, I don't remember a lot of that on the menu. But
so maybe just more cute name.
It was just because that was something that was very much a part of culture, which is why we're talking about it.
Yeah, that's so fun. Well, we hope y'all have a good week.
Yes.
Peace be with you.
And also with y'all.